Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you'll be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. I'm doing everything I can right now not to do the intro in Stone Cold voice after having listened to about an hour and 11 minutes of the Broken Skull Sessions. One more round. Is that a shoot?
We're talking about that plenty. We're going to be talking about that plenty here in a little bit, so you can get out of you then, okay?
I need to issue an apology first, though. We got some business to take care of. I need to apologize. I noticed in the comments of our Survivor Series recap, and I think the genesis of a couple of the dislikes, people gave us a couple of the thumbs down, Larson, were because I was insensitive and how do I put this? I underestimated the emotional impact of a certain cameo via hologram last night. I apologize to anyone I offended for calling Paul Bearer's hologram goofy. I didn't mean to try to soil the moment in your hearts for The Undertaker paying tribute to Paul Bearer. So I apologize for that. I'm not huge on holograms, but I understand
I think
people out there might be big on holograms and their emotional impact therein.
Well, I think you appreciate from emotional storytelling standpoint, what they were trying to achieve there, the means by which they achieved it didn't strike a chord with you. That's a subjective thing.
That's right.
And that's why what you were trying to express, you weren't trying to belittle anybody's emotional attachment to the moment or the relationship between Undertaker and Paul Bearer. I know you well enough to know that's not the case. You're just trying to say the means by which they tried to present that, they presented that to us last night, didn't strike a chord with you.
Because damn, son, holograms freak me out. They look like ghosts. I don't need ghosts in my wrestling ring. Talk about that. I felt kind of, because like people were all. I checked Twitter last night after I said that, and I noticed some of the comments.
Everybody thought it was pretty great.
Even Adam Pacitti was like, "I got emotional to hologram." I'm like, really? It's a hologram, and it wasn't even moving. So, anyways,
I'll tell you, man. I'll tell you.
Apologies. I'm not. Okay, I think part of it is this a little bit. I saw The Undertaker retire. We both did. We were there live. And even though I had kind of a miserable experience at that WrestleMania because of the blinking lights and how close we were and all that kind of stuff, that moment I did kind of treasure. I was like, wow, that's powerful. I got to sit there and see The Undertaker retire because he put down his hat and his coat and his
gloves.
All those, and the gloves and all the fans there. It was a big, big moment. And I was like, wow,
it was unexpected. It was completely unexpected. We were not expecting that to happen.
It's like, whoa. And then he comes back and again, and then they do a documentary series and he says goodbye there, basically. So this was like the third time I'd seen him say goodbye.
And we're going to get another time at the Hall of Fame whenever he gets inducted.
You know this isn't the last time he's going to say goodbye on camera. You know that. So it just didn't. I do have, when it comes to Undertaker retiring, I have a bit of a cynical point of view. I love the guy. His career is great. It's great. It's like Mount Rushmore. I would definitely do that. I would definitely say that. That being said, I've seen him say goodbye a couple times already. And hologram, like the last time I gave thought to a hologram was when Kim Kardashian said that Kanye West got her a hologram of her dad, which I'll be honest, when I put myself in those shoes and I think of somebody getting me, if my father passes away at some point, which I hope he never does, but if he does, and then somebody would turn around and give me a hologram, I'd be a little weirded out by it. I'm not really making my case any better. I should have just said I'm sorry and shut up, but still. Anyways.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Somebody said I need to check my pulse.
Really?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
you seem fine.
That comment got 26 likes.
Wow.
Their comments.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Anyways.
Wow.
Anyways,
while we're on the topic of Undertaker, might as well get into it. So, following Survivor Series last night, Undertaker was the guest on Broken Skull Sessions with Steve Austin again. This time, a
One
2-hour
more round.
One more round, yes. They drank a lot more in this episode.
That was
they
great.
had several more rounds. It was great.
Yeah, they did.
And covered a lot of stuff. Obviously, they didn't cover the first time around. Undertaker, you can just tell, has a wealth, a vault, like a Fort Knox-esque vault of incredible stories.
A pure gold. That to me, to add some context to my apology, that to me means so much more than like a formal ceremony of him leaving and saying goodbye.
You want story time with Mark Calloway. That's
that
what you
means
really
a lot more to me, because it's like, man, this guy, like you said, is a wealth, a treasure trove, a giant, a Grand Canyon sized pot of doubloons of stories, and that's what Steve here is all about. That's what I love. And so I slept in a little bit today, so I watched the first hour and 11 minutes of it. So we've got some good stuff to talk about.
We do. I watched all but the last like 9
story
minutes.
time with Larson. Yeah. Okay.
So apart from the Buzz Sawyer stuff and how he broke into business, I kind of feel like a lot of the stuff in the first Broken Skull Sessions with Undertaker was kind of stuff that was relatively well known. I mean, you got it from his perspective, which is new, but it wasn't like the major story beats of his career, especially getting to the business. This is all a lot of this was stuff is like, all right, I heard rumors, Austin saying, I heard rumors of this and this and this happening. Can you comment on this?
This was much more, it was much more of a shoot style, you know, in terms of the content. That's the kind of stuff we like. Yeah,
totally. You know, kind of the most obvious example of that was when they Stone Cold brought up WrestleMania 14.
Yeah.
Chatter about Shawn not want to drop the belt that day, being tough to work with, and whether it was actually true the Undertaker was there in gorilla position, essentially ready to beat up Shawn Michaels to ensure that Stone Cold left Mania 14 with that title. And that's in the affirmative. That is largely true.
What was great about the minutia of that story, the detail, was he didn't tell anybody. All he had to do was sit at gorilla position with his
hands
taped up, with his hands taped up, and everybody understood. There was no like he didn't tell anybody. It was just he went there because he felt like if he needed to go and legitimately go out there, like, I mean, talk about one of the missed all-time opportunities to create a lasting story is the idea that Shawn Michaels might have considered just walking out during the match, I guess getting a count out or something, and then Undertaker coming out in the main event of WrestleMania and legitimately putting him back in the ring so that they could shoot a pin on him. Oh, what a missed opportunity that was. I really wish that would have happened at this point, because that would have been crazy.
And there's a great layer added to it, because both Austin and Undertaker are like, yeah, neither of us like Shawn Michaels. Like, professionally enjoyed working with him. Great to be in the ring with. But on a personal level, outside of the ring, they didn't like him until he returned. You know, for a second run. Everybody says, changed man.
Yeah.
Completely changed.
Yeah.
And Undertaker says he's like one of my closest friends. Says, I love him. I love Shawn Michaels. Back then, no. Now, totally do. So I guess he tells the story of at one point, I guess Shawn had caught wind of this story and goes to the Undertaker and goes, hey, is that true? Were you going to beat me up? And Undertaker says, I told him no. I lied to him.
I lied to him. Let me ask you this while we're on the subject of, because while they were talking about HBK, Undertaker dropped a term that I had not heard before, and I'm curious to know if you had, and it tickled me endlessly when he was talking about one of the strengths of Shawn Michaels, given that he was usually an undersized guy, and he would sell for you, but when he would lay in his offense, it would look real. And Undertaker said, you know, every match eventually comes down to knucks. And then he said, what I've heard before, he said, eventually it comes down to throwing soup bones. Yeah. Had you heard that term before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had never heard that term before. It tickled me pretty much.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And then that story kind of relates to Montreal Screwjob. So you got Undertaker's perspective of that when, you know, it went down. He was upset. He was trying to stand up for the boys. And then it was interesting to hear both Taker and Austin say, okay, once they understood Vince's point of view, they weren't as upset about it. You know, so interesting there. Granted, the story could have come in the last 9 minutes of the show. Nothing about whether Sid crapped his pants at Mania 13. That's really the story I want to get details on.
Yeah, we really should have plunked down for one of those cameos so he could just shoot on that really quick. Did you get a chance to look at any of the cameos?
I saw a couple of them. Yeah,
they're pretty great. They're pretty great. Some of them are so heartwarming because it's like a mom sending a cameo to her kid who's starting a new, like at a new school, and the kid's a big Undertaker fan. Some of them obviously some of them are kind of cheesy, but they're all so, and I know they cost a ton of money, but the guy is high in demand. So they are pretty heartwarming. Some of these
they are. The one thing that I had a hard time getting past is the curtains in the background looked like he was prepping for a stand-up routine on the Tonight Show in the 70s.
No, but actually this speaks to something that I'd mentioned back when we were talking about this whole cameo business. Is that this ain't him in his garage. I mean, it's still filmed vertically.
He was like, all right, I got 30 to do. I'm going to stand right here backstage, probably a Survivor Series or the arena over the course of the weekend, and just hammered him out. In
costume, in character. And I do think that especially if you're a mom or a parent and you're trying to do something special for your kid, I would rather be like, wow, I'll plunk down an extra premium for them to use their names, for them to get in their costumes. What's that?
Said a significant premium. Man, I just kind of want Mark Calloway dropping a promo to me. That's what I want.
If it's you and me, well, okay, so my thing is, if it's an intro that we're doing, I absolutely would prefer to have him in full Undertaker. I put you down like a dog. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. That's just good production right there. But I could see, I can understand, one benefit of them doing now, if the wrestlers are getting ripped off, that sucks. But that being said, I can understand the benefit of having that premium available for sure.
Oh, I understand that.
All right, before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, Hawthorne. Hey, Larson.
Yeah?
With the holidays fast approaching, it's time to start thinking about holiday shopping. And whether you're treating yourself or shopping for someone else, finding the perfect gift is never easy.
But Hawthorne is making gift-giving fun and easy this holiday season. Hawthorne is a premium tailored personal care brand that's making it easy for guys to feel and smell their best.
Yeah, first thing you do is go over to hawthorne.co and take a quiz where you can answer for yourself or whomever you're shopping for. It's really straightforward, and based on those answers, you'll either get some really cool personal care products for yourself or get to build personalized gifts for everyone on your shopping list.
And speaking of shopping for yourself, Hawthorne is a convenient way to get really high-quality products tailored for your specific needs. I got myself some awesome mint-scented body wash that's just really refreshing, and some soothing hand lotion that helps my hands from getting too dried out, especially now that it's so darn cold outside.
Yeah, man, I got myself a giant bar of soap. It's huge. Like, the portion size are huge. Portion sizes. And it smells great. I also got some thickening shampoo that I use every single day. I really like it. Makes my hair look great, and it smells awesome also. And it was all personalized based on the quiz that I did. And if you don't like your products, they'll even retailer them for you based on your feedback.
So get special offers for the holidays going on right now by visiting hawthorne.co. That's hawthorne.co to check out their special holiday offers. Hawthorne.co.
Didn't he talk? He talked. It's funny because like in the first one, he talked pretty extensively about Kane, and they sort of go over Kane a lot in this one, or not a lot, but like about 15 minutes.
Oh, they do a good bit. He says the whole point of the first Hell in a Cell match was to build up the Kane tearing that door off, and that was in his mind the whole point of I don't know if he necessarily means that match or the literal construction of Hell in a Cell.
Oh, I don't think. Well, yeah, I don't think that. I think that it was the entire thing. I think they probably planned to do Hell in a Cell once. Didn't realize that it was going to be as cool as it was. Yeah. And then they would do it 40 more times. Yeah. But no, I mean, yeah, the point of it was let's do something that nobody else could get through. And
Kane rips the door off the hinges and gets in. Yeah. Goes through the match pretty extensively. The first Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels, and talks about Kane, talks about first working with them in Smoky Mountain. and working with him once and saying, "Oh, this guy needs to come to New York." They go through the second Hell in the Cell, the one with Foley, quite a bit. I don't know if this is new, but it was new to me. But he talked about, obviously the throw off the top, how he didn't want to do that. But then the spot where he choke slams him and Foley is going through that panel on the Cell, and he says they're up there brawling, and it looked like, because he saw them fall to the mat after that panel fell off, essentially Twist Ties was keeping that on, because he says the plan was for that not to break completely, but for it to kind of give way a little bit, and they would kind of make their way down back into the ring. Like maybe one corner of it was supposed to fall, and they use that to get back in the ring rather than to climb back down or something. He didn't really go into great detail, but like that panel was gimmicked to kind of give way a little bit, but it was gimmicked too much. And he said he felt like he could see like the rivets and the little twist ties like flying off while they're up there brawling. And so he delivered that choke slam. He's like, I need to step back, otherwise I'm going through this thing too. It's pretty crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, I'm looking for.
If he had gone through that, he said he would have landed right on top of Foley.
Did he say what his sort of initial gut reaction was when he saw Foley?
He just wanted to see him move.
Okay, yeah.
So he said, because as soon as that happens, like everybody's in the cell and in the ring checking on him.
Yeah.
And he just says, I'm going to stay up here. He's just watching for any part of Foley that he could see to make sure that he's moving. Because he said from his vantage point, it looked like Foley landed right on his head.
Oh my God. Jeez.
And he said that, and he said he had an out of body experience when he threw him off the cell the first time.
Yeah.
He says like the only time it's ever happened to him, because he could see, Foley for that 1 or 2 seconds falling through the table. At the same time, he could see himself watching Foley falling through the table.
Wow.
I mean, that's got to be a situation where you think, all right, there's a chance I could just like literally throw this guy off the cell. It's choreographed, and we agreed to do it, but this could result in serious injury or worse. I mean, that's the sensation going through your body. That's hard to really fathom.
I've always been shocked at just how little margin of error there is when anybody comes off the cage. Whenever Shane does even his elbow from the top onto the commentary, let alone somebody coming off. I mean, it's one thing when Shawn Michaels did it off the side the first time. Even then, when he did it, like you see, he lands like about probably a couple inches, like 6 inches or so, a little too close to where the chairs are. He almost overshoots it exactly. But like, when Owens went off, I think
when Shane went off the top, there was a crash pad. When Braun threw Kevin Owens, it wasn't Hell in a Cell, it was a cage. When he threw him off that was crazy.
That was still like really high up there. Yeah, so that is it's crazy to think that they just went up there and did it, and Foley was able to get the right, he was able to measure it out. He kind of hit it and
slid off too. He kind of hit it and then slid off towards the chairs behind commentary too.
Yeah.
Another pretty interesting bit was Taker talking about getting burned at Elimination Chamber 2010, and he talks about so apparently just 2 weeks prior to that show, he had a conversation with the Pyro guy and said, hey, the Pyro's getting too close.
Oh, wow.
When I make my entrance, can we push it back so, I'm not at risk of getting burned? And the guy just said, oh, it must be a draft in the building. It should be fine. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, Taker says he was walking up, and like the first bit was on his left. He turns away from it only for another thing of it to come to his right.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. So he was wearing like the Duster long sleeve jacket. And he says just right before he was going to come out, he did two things. One, he was champion at the time. And so initially he was going to wear the coat that was like a vest, so sleeveless, but long. But he's like, well, I'm going to wear the belt, and I want people to see the belt, so I'll wear the Duster style jacket instead. Second, he said, I'm going to be in that chamber for 20 minutes before I get in the match. By the time that time goes by, my hair is going to be dry. As he says, I won't be able to see, I guess, because his hair will be everywhere. I'm going to dump another bottle of water on my head before I go out. And he credits those two things from saving him from getting burned worse, because he said he hit the pod, and his skin was already starting to blister up on his chest. And then there were people under the ring that were handing him bottles of water so he could pour on himself.
Yeah.
And they showed a picture of his jacket, the sleeve. So, it's like a full-length sleeve, went down to his wrist. And he said after going through the fire and taking it off, it went to like his elbow. It just shrunk up so much.
Jeez.
Leather jacket.
Yeah.
So he said he had to wait 20 minutes, and while he was pouring water on himself and trying to calm himself down, he was telling people ringside that the pyro guy had to be fired.
That's
just
good.
2 weeks ago, I talked to him
Yeah.
about toning that stuff down or bringing it or taking it back away from the stage, but it could have been a heck of a lot worse if he had worn that other coat. That could have been real bad. Perhaps the most entertaining part of the whole thing was Wrestler's Court.
Yeah, that was
pretty
great. I saw
extensive
that.
bit
Yeah.
about Wrestler's Court. And we'd heard about Wrestler's Court, that Undertaker was kind of the jury of the whole thing, but we never really got his perspective on kind of the ins and outs of it all. It seemed, for the most part, he described it as by and large something that was just fun to do as a pastime, but also it was a way to let wrestlers know, hey, you might want to tone this stuff down before the office starts to notice. I mean, the example he tells, apparently with Teddy Long's permission, was how apparently Teddy Long was selling, he had gotten some Viagra for free and was selling it to the boys. And then once they found out that he got it for free, they were upset about it because, as Undertaker says, Teddy wasn't out there taking bumps.
Mm-hmm. His impression of Mae Young was actually pretty spot on.
That was pretty good.
Because she was called as a witness, and he's like, and Austin was like, a witness to what? And he was like, I still don't know. I don't know why she was a witness, but she was a witness, and all she kept on saying was, you young guys, why do you need to use Niagara? And he was like, no, Mae, it's Viagra. And she's like, oh, you shouldn't be having to use this. You're young. And but his impression of her, like his vocal pattern, his intonation was hilariously exactly like Mae Young. I thought he did a pretty good job. They talked about JBL being terrible, whether he was on the defense or on the prosecution side.
Too over the top.
Always too flamboyant, too over the top. Thought that was pretty funny. And then Teddy Long was found guilty as charged. They didn't mention what his punishment was. Yeah.
Nicholas Grothkirth has a quote about the pyro guy. He said, that pyro guy better not be in the building when I get back.
Yeesh. Somebody back here mentioned, let's see here, where was it? Oh, so like there was some sort of like Zoom call talk between Triple H, HBK, and Undertaker. And I don't know where this is going to air, but I did see a little bit of it. O-Dog here brings it up because I just saw it last night on Twitter. Maybe somebody can let us know where it can actually be found. But HBK said something like, at least my finisher is still, jokingly said, at least my finisher is still being protected. Triple H calls it the DDT of the millennial era. And then Taker, if I recall, says, yeah, that's the move you do after a lockup now. It was pretty damn funny.
That is pretty funny.
The rest of that. All right, before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, Ritual. Hey, Larson.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really know what's in your typical multivitamin?
Can't say I have any idea whatsoever.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you what's in it, man. Sugar, GMO stuff, synthetic fillers, artificial colorants, as well as a bunch of animal byproducts. Yeah, but here's the thing, man. Ritual isn't your typical multivitamin. Their clean, vegan-friendly formula is made with key nutrients in forms that your body can actually use without the shady extra stuff.
I don't like shady extra stuff. I like to know what I'm putting in this body of mine, and that's why Ritual is great for Larson. Ritual has a one-of-a-kind visible supply chain, so you always know where your nutrients are coming from.
And Ritual makes it easy because your multivitamins are delivered directly to your door every month with free shipping, and you can start, snooze, or cancel your subscription at any time. Plus, if you don't love Ritual within your first month, they'll refund your order.
You deserve to know what's in your multivitamins. That's why Ritual is offering Going In Raw listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Visit ritual.com/raw to start your ritual today.
I'm going to have mine right now. Again, get 10% off your first 3 months by going to ritual.com/raw. You always got to have a lot of water when you do it. I feel better already. Yeah.
Taker talks about Ric Flair challenged him to a drinking contest, and and I can't remember the exact phrase Undertaker used, but it was like he pretty much said he was in his prime for, I think he said like after the show activities or something like that. Like he was in prime drinking form.
Yeah, he was prime drinker. Yeah, exactly.
And he said that after Ric Flair fell asleep about 2 hours before they got to their destination, he laid Flair out across a row of seats, crossed his arms over his chest,
and gave him some fangs using some cutout pieces of napkin.
Yeah,
yeah, that was pretty funny stuff.
It was pretty funny.
I sort of left off on. I got through all of it, but I left off on, and this is something that I was always curious about. Austin brings up when Brock Lesnar fought Cain Velasquez at UFC, and Brock ended up losing. And Undertaker, Brock comes by him as he's being interviewed by Ariel Helwani, and Taker just looks at Brock and says, "You want to go?" And then Brock just walks off. Well, that was a big deal at the time. Like I remember everybody talking about that at the time, and because Undertaker then sort of rambles something about, well, it's a personal thing between me and Brock, and so Austin brings it up. He's like, "Was that a shoot?" And Taker says, he just stares at him and then he says, "Business, brother." And so he was like, I wanted to create some buzz for anything in the future. Didn't realize Brock was going to lose. I really thought he was going to win. And Austin said, "Well, did that give you pause at all to not do this because he's in a different mindset?" And he said, "Yeah, for a second. But then what a lot of people don't realize is that Brock made his way. He went a different route to come by me." And so he said, at that point, I had to do it. So,
well, also Taker made it seem like that Brock had some idea what might have been about to happen.
He sort of insinuated that, but I'm not sure. I don't know how. Like it was such a throwaway thought that I thought maybe it was.
Austin said something like, "Was Brock clued in to what was going to happen?" And Taker says he was clued in enough or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, he didn't really specify there, so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed more like, I wonder if it was more like, hey.
He text Brock in advance that, "Hey, I'm going to be here. Come say hi."
I don't even know if it's going to be that. I wonder if it was more like, Brock knows what business I'm in. So if he's going to come by me, he's going to have the understanding that that's where I'm going to head. That's sort of what I would have thought that if it was as specific as I texted him in advance, I imagine he would have mentioned that in this. But just the fact that, there might be sort of an unspoken thing where if you're in public and you're around another wrestler, they're going to do a work, they're going to work you a little bit. So, yeah.
Jorge D says that the Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels thing is on BTS Sports YouTube page.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll have to check the
later.
rest of that out
That
because
sounds
that one little segment seemed hilarious.
So the last bit of the second episode of Broken Skull with Taker is him talking about last ride leading up to the Boneyard match and him seemingly, hey, I'm walking into this knowing full well this is my last match. Of course, at first he was planning for that to be against AJ at Mania in Raymond James Stadium. COVID happened. That didn't happen. They had the Boneyard match instead. Mm-hmm. A lot of that stuff was largely covered in the last ride. But it's still good to kind of get if you don't want to spend 3 hours going through last ride, get kind of a Cliff Notes version of all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's longer than, it's a little bit over 2 hours. It's a really good watch. I think I enjoyed this one more than the first one. They started drinking early, so they seem to be more free flowing with the stories. But sadly, no confirmation whether Sid crapped his pants. So that's like the only disappointment I can glean from it so far.
Yeah, I thought that it was. Like I said, I've only gotten through the first half and some change, but so far, it's there's nothing that beats some of his stories about when he was coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Buzz
the story
Sawyer
about
stuff.
Buzz Sawyer opening the door naked stuff,
and then like him, Undertaker, not wanting to come out of the egg, that kind of stuff. I really love. It just felt like a continuation with more, getting more of the little bits, the little curious bits that you just wonder about. I always like those maybe more than like origin stories. So yeah,
definitely. In other news, so back when news broke of Zelina Vega's release, Russell Votes noted that Zelina's husband, former NXT champion Aleister Black had floated the idea of maybe returning to NXT, but that conversation or talk had apparently fallen on deaf ears. On a recent Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that Aleister, and these transcripts are from Cultaholic, quote, feels like he's just been forgotten about, and that was not because of Zelina Vega. It just felt like that was already the case. He's forgotten about right now. It doesn't look good. I know he threw a suggestion out to go to NXT, and that was turned down.
Well, yeah, he has been forgotten about. It's terrible. Like, he was the hottest thing in NXT, comes over, and then they stick him in a room. It was stupid.
For 8 months, I know.
They put him in a thrown together tag team, so he couldn't like stand out on his own. I mean, he's a fun tag team, but come on, man, the guy he has loner written all over him, all over his gimmick. You know, they don't bring him out in any sort of like spectacular way.
Nope.
And then they put him in
that Rey Mysterio feud for some reason.
Yeah. Boy. Talk about dropping the ball. And by all accounts, the guy is like a class act backstage.
Yeah.
I mean, this honestly, like I felt, and it's funny because you can't see it now because of what they've done to him. But given his run, if you watch his run in NXT, this guy had like Undertaker Part 2 written all over him. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got the mystique. Yeah. He's got all that. He's got a great move set. He does the flip stuff, the sit down. It's all there. It was all there. And they have completely ruined him. It's terrible.
Yep.
It
is
so
terrible.
Bad.
It's terrible. It's going to be a long road back for him if he stays in the main roster, man. I hope he does go back to NXT because they knew how to best utilize him.
Yeah. I mean, I'd want them to reimagine him a little bit, you know, do something different instead of just going back as what he was before.
Well, I mean, as we saw with Finn Balor when he went back there, that's what they did.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
you know, he went back there. He just wasn't smiling Finn. You know, we're getting a little bit. I'm not gonna say we're getting full Prince Devitt. We're getting a little bit of that.
Yeah, we're getting as much as they can do, I think.
So, I would like to think that if he were to go back to NXT, we get the essence of Aleister Black, but maybe a slightly different take on it.
The precious bodily fluids of Aleister Black. Also, speaking of some people here. Who is this in our Twitch chat? Joe Juarez says, I'd much rather see Tommy End in New Japan. Speaking of New Japan and people we want to see in New Japan, the cleaner Kenny Omega. We saw him in New Japan, but hey, how cool would it be to see him now that he's in AEW, maybe go back and have some fun there every once in a while. He did an interview with the Wrestling Observer, talked about a potential AEW New Japan partnership. That's what's on everybody's mind these days, man, is AEW New Japan working together. And he says, as well as maybe working with WWE. Not going to happen. Anyways, this is what the cleaner says. The way I kind of look at it, and I don't know the current political structure, but by how it sounds, things have opened up a little bit. I believe that companies in general, not just New Japan, but all companies, are more open-minded about working and doing things and creating friendly relationships. I do believe that if there are professional working relationships across the board, it benefits the industry as a whole. I think a lot of people in New Japan understand that. I think a lot of us are still friendly with one another, especially the boys. There might have been issues with office people, higher ups, but there is never an issue with anyone on the wrestling end of things. A lot of us still keep in touch. A lot of us still talk about a day where we can work with each other and all that sort of thing. All the wrestlers want to do what's best for the industry. What provides the best wrestling experience for the fans. It's the guys in the suits that maybe don't understand the business. It's the guys in the suits that think what's best for business and are all sort of holding everything back. I do believe that with the recent shift, that everyone in the American and Japanese division, I believe they are a little more open-minded, and we've always been open-minded. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If for some reason WWE came knocking down our door and said, hey, we'd love to do a talent switch or trade-off and whatever, or work out something, I'd be all for it. Whatever benefits the wrestling fan, I believe that's got to come first. That's my answer. I don't know what Tony Khan's answer would be, but as a wrestler who has also assumed that office position, I'm thinking about the fans first and professional wrestling as a whole. I think just when you start thinking about fantasy scenarios and crossover stuff, it just gets really exciting. I think that's the shot in the arm that wrestling needs. You son of a bitch.
These transcripts are from Fightful. That all sounds great, but especially the WWE aspect. As long as Vince is around, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen.
Not gonna happen.
But you can definitely start sort of fantasy booking out some New Japan stuff. I could see that potentially happening. Impact, I think they would do that right now if Tony Khan was into it. So yeah, there's it's always interesting to get.
It is. I mean, it was pretty damn intriguing when Don Callis showed up to do commentary for Kenny's match at Full Gear.
Mm-hmm. You're doing great work over there in Impact, right?
Yeah, JR putting Impact over. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how willing at this juncture Tony Khan would be to working with Impact right now, but at some point in the future, I mean, if because he said that and Cody said that what does Cody say? Doors are open, bridges are down. That's his phrase.
Yeah,
he likes to employ.
That. Yeah.
That seems to definitely be the case. They're open. They realize that collaboration is the key to the health of the wrestling industry. So we'll see what happens.
Given that I am the current Going in Raw official correspondent with Impact Wrestling, I would suggest this before they were to do that. I think their Knockouts division, their women's division, is on super firm territory right now. I think Deonna Purrazzo is the champion again after getting it from Su Yung. I do think that they would need to, before Impact were to mess around with AEW, it's obvious they're looking at Moose to get that title off Rich Swann and get it on the Moose, which is a really smart idea. Let Moose have it for a good 6 months, like a dominant 6 months, and then the stars, I think, would be aligned if you actually wanted to do like a big deal sort of talent crossover where you have Moose, in a really strong position, because Rich Swann is their champion right now, and he's a really fantastic wrestler. He is, but he's also not like a big enough I think Moose is he is Mr. Impact Wrestling. So I think if he
is that what his Twitter handle still is?
Probably. So I say get that title on Moose, and then you're off to the races. You could do some really fun stuff with AEW.
Agreed.
All right, before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, Raycon. Hey, Larson. I don't know if you know this, although I did say it earlier in the show. The holidays are coming up, man, so it's time to get started on your holiday shopping.
Yeah, if you say so, Steve. And why not make the most wonderful time of the year even better with the gift of Raycon wireless earbuds? Right now, you can save big on a gift that your friends and families can actually use every day. Whether I'm working out or relaxing at home, listening to my favorite holiday jams, my Raycons have become my go-to wireless earbuds. They're comfortable, the sound quality is top-notch, and they start at half the price of the other premium wireless earbuds.
I've been wearing my Raycons during my daily walks and my wind sprints, and they pair seamlessly with my phone, and they've got a great noise isolating fit. So this holiday season, get them a gift they can use for calls, work, or music for work or play at home or on the go or doing wind sprints.
Heck, you can even treat yourself to a pair. Go to buyraycon.com/raw today to unlock exclusive deals up to 20% off your Raycon order. But hurry, this offer is available for a limited time only. You don't want to miss it.
That's buyraycon.com/raw to unlock up to 20% off your Raycons. Buyraycon.com/raw. I'm going to go do some wind sprints right after this show, Larson. I'm going to use my Raycons right here. I'm going to get some shin splints.
So the holidays are coming up, yeah? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the holidays are in fact coming up. But let's get back to the show. Let's get back to the show.
You want to answer some questions now?
Yeah, we got a lot of questions over on the Twitter.
Because there's no Raw preview. There's nothing. There's
what?
Nothing on
Get out of
Twitter.
Here. Hold on
There's
a second.
Nothing on WWE.com.
Let me talk to my people.
Nothing official.
Let me talk to my people. I'm going to talk to my people. Here, let me see what I got here.
What, you got connections?
Yeah, it's called the WWE's Twitter account. Let me see here.
No, I just looked there. Nothing.
Oh, here we go. Nope. 53 minutes ago, you missed this. Bobby Lashley tweeted at Sami Zayn, "Oh, I see you finally woke up. We can always run it back if you want." Bob Lashley versus Sami Zayn on Raw tonight, Larson?
No.
No, man, that's just them talking.
No. Yep.
No, there's nothing, dude. There's nothing.
There's absolutely nothing.
Come on, WWE. You're struggling right now. What's going
on
with that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's see here. WWE News, full Survivor Series. Nope. Nothing.
Nothing. All right, first question here from Mr. Triple Mania, Juan Guerrero Jr. with the New Day and Batista appearing in Gears of War, which other wrestlers throughout history would you like to see appear in non-wrestling video games, and which games would they be?
Sergeant Slaughter in Call of Duty.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I understand just how terrible that idea is.
Wow.
I totally get it. Oh, how about this? The Forgotten Sons in Call of Duty.
There you go. In Junkyard Simulator.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's the answer right there. Who would you want to see a GTA 5 DLC revolve around? Maybe like a new online heist. Who can pull off a heist?
Now that Undertaker is retired from wrestling, he needs a new revenue stream.
I like it. That's good. Oh, man, that's the thing that I was cracking up about when Austin gets out the wine. He's like, what's all this about? And Undertaker, without saying it because he can't, basically just said this was a payday. You know, because he kind of said he's not a wine drinker. He was like kind of almost embarrassed by it. He was like, you know, when opportunities come your way, you got to take advantage of them. Look at this. It's Cabernet. Oh, my goodness.
B-Man Patrick Sparks says, power rank the Undertaker Shawn and Undertaker Triple H matches. Also, where does Flair HBK rank in that group? So we're just talking the WrestleMania ones. Or we guess we could do Hell in a Cell. You want to do the casket match where Michael's hurt his back? We can do that one too.
Okay, sure. So hold on a second. We got Hell in a Cell 97. We've got 25, 26, 27, 28. We've got
Rumble 98 casket match.
Yeah, that's the one where HBK messed his back up really bad.
Yep.
And then I'll throw this in. Wait, did he say something about Flair as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Flair HBK. And I'll throw in
Taker, Flair.
Probably my. Well, no, I'm not going to say it's my. Outside of all the 4 years of End of an Era stuff, outside of those matches, Taker Flair might be like my favorite match. I love that match.
How many do you have there total?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
So I would rank in terms of End of an Era is probably number 1.
Yeah. And then I'll say,
dude, I would probably give number 2 to Hell in a Cell 97. Like watching the clips of that again, that really was just a terrific match.
That was really good.
After that, I would probably go with. I'd probably go with Mania 25, then 26, then 27, then Flair HBK. Actually, you know what? I'll do this. I'm going to go 28, so End of an Era, Hell in a Cell 97, 25, then Flair HBK, then 26, then 27, then Taker Flair, then Royal Rumble 98. I hate watching when HBK lands on his back.
People get hurt. I know. I got end of an Era, 26, then 25, Bad Blood 97, Michael's Flair. Wait, do I have that? I have that on there twice. Oh, okay. Then Flair Taker, then Triple H Taker at Mania 27, and then the casket match.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
Good.
Patrick
Sparks, what does Rhea Ripley do now that she lost to EO and wasn't on a Survivor Series team? She's gonna show up at Raw tonight.
Win the Royal Rumble after Charlotte beats Asuka for the Raw Women's title.
Let's see here. Combat Kev, now that Undertaker is retired, who will be the next part-timer to retire?
Probably Brock.
Yeah. I thought there was some chatter.
Or Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan says this is his last year as a full-time competitor, so we'll probably still see him from time to time.
Okay, but yeah, I'm talking about
retirement.
I think he's talking about a big
retire.
Gone. Yeah, done. I've wrestled my last match.
Probably Brock.
Probably. But do you think that here's a question from Steve here? Do you think that they will give Brock the type of send-off with a documentary?
No, he'll just go away.
You think he'll just go away?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm inclined to agree with that, but if Vince wants to, because you have to admit, the entirety of Undertaker's last year has been a pretty big success for the WWE.
Absolutely.
If Brock were interested and the price was right, I could see them maybe trying to do the same thing.
I don't know what his interest level would be, like, especially doing something. Because Brock seems
so
like
revealing.
Yes, Brock seems like a very private person, and Undertaker for better part of 30 years was all about protecting his character. And when he realized it was time for him to step away, and then he started, letting letting us look behind the curtain, if you will. There's not that level of mystique about Brock Lesnar. He's just kind of Brock Lesnar. And yeah, it'd be great to hear some of the stories he had, because I'm sure they're incredible. I just don't know if he's inclined to do that.
Yeah, that was
even just based on the Steve Austin interview that he had on the network before Broken Skull. He doesn't seem like the most revealing of individuals.
Yeah, that was one of the interesting things that we often talk about. One of the more interesting things to us in wrestling is where the character begins, where the human being ends, et cetera, et cetera. And Austin broached that last night early on. He's after 30 years, you're everywhere now. How does that feel? And Undertaker, one thing about Undertaker is that he seems like a very grounded person who obviously is confronted with that, has reflected on it, but there isn't the same level of conflict within him about that, like as compared to guys like Ric Flair, where Ric Flair basically wants nothing to do with
Richard Fleer.
Yeah. He always wanted to be with Undertaker. Was much more, this is a business that if I don't completely focus on it and give my mind to it and sacrifice my relationships for it, it will be taken away from me. Somebody will take my spot.
Yeah. It seemed like, sorry, go ahead.
It was much less of a conflict of identity as it was, this is something that I have to do to keep my family fed.
Yeah, totally. I was just going to cover that same ground that with, like the whole point of that Ric Flair documentary was, it was thematically all about, identity. Who is Ric Flair? Does Richard Fleer even still exist? And you don't get that same, the conflict with the Undertaker in that same respect. But you got it right. It was all about protecting himself, his character, the business, to keep food on his table, keep his family provided for. You never got the sense that there was a massive overlap between Undertaker and Mark Calloway, within him. Because he talked about, even on his days off, being engulfed in the business. Not like he was at home wanting to be the Undertaker.
Right.
He would just always had his mind the business, because for 5 days out of the week, 24 hours a day, that's what his mind was on, and it's hard to break out of that routine. But you never really got the sense that when he went home, like he was being the Undertaker with his kids.
We also forgot to recap his thoughts on Brock ending the streak and how he didn't really, he went along with it because he always been a guy to go along with what Vince wants. He made sure that Vince was cool with it. He made sure Vince reflected on it when he was approached. Yeah. But he said, I love Brock. Brock is great, but he had already done so much that he didn't feel like it was going to elevate him. And again, he reiterated, I thought 2 years later, it should have been Roman 2 years later. He said that would have taken him to the next level. I, as a fan, kind of disagree with that. I thought that it actually did take Brock, because when Brock came back, he 8 losses.
He lost to Triple H.
He lost to Triple H. He lost to, didn't he lose to CM Punk? Okay.
No, he lost to Cena and Triple H. I think that's it.
Okay. And then after he beat Taker, that's when really it began.
He went on that tear,
Went on like the big tear, and I think he did become that complete and total monster. So yeah, I thought it was it was kind of interesting from his perspective.
I get his perspective. It's kind of old school in that if you're gonna, sort of like when you retire, you go out in your back and you try to put someone over who needs it. you know.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the same idea with retiring the streak, if you will. If you're going to, have someone beat him to end the streak, make damn sure it's someone who needs that.
Yeah.
And it's debatable whether Brock needed it. Because I agree with you. After ending the streak, that's when Brock went in that massive tear. Is when he destroyed Cena at SummerSlam. After that, all that stuff.
They made the most of it. They really did make the most of it.
They did. But just imagine the heat that Roman would have got at that Raw after Mania 33, if not only he had beat The Undertaker, but he ended the streak. Like, it was huge that night. It was massive. If he was the one to end the streak, I mean, I don't know how he could have had more heat on him, but it would have been a lot more.
So if it was at 33 when we were there, yeah. If it was 2 years, because that if Taker was thinking at 32, Roman, they had actually booked Roman like in that build, like with the Sheamus thing.
Yeah.
If Roman had maintained, I'm not sure. I don't know that at that point, people were willing to go with Roman around 32. Just the match ended up stinking. Dude, we talk about it all the time. He was like super over when Sheamus cashed in on him.
Yeah, there was that stretch when he punched Vince and beat the hell out of Triple H, got the belt back. But then right after that happened is when Dean Ambrose really started. Like it seemed like Roman took a backseat to Dean when Dean was feuding with Triple H before that Mania. It fell apart
at that point. It fell apart at that
point. So it kind of
would have had
going into they would have had to completely get away from the whole Triple H aspect of things. And who knows, once you step in the ring with The Undertaker and the streak's on the line, everybody's rooting for The Undertaker and everybody's rooting for that streak to continue.
That extra year, though, of them being so willy-nilly with Roman really amplified the heat that we got at 33, especially because it was the idea that Roman had retired him. Now, you could be right. I mean, maybe, especially if his streak had continued through until 33 and they were still being willy-nilly with Roman, and that match that we saw was the streak ending and retiring The Undertaker, it might have been even more nuclear. But man, we were there. I don't know how much nuclear could have been.
I don't know how much more, but I feel like it would have
riots, maybe riots.
I don't know, man. Tomatoes being thrown at Roman. I don't know. Greg Morris, if the looming specter of Charlotte has her face Asuka for the title, is this when Asuka gets a big win? In terms of telling their story, yes, because Charlotte's always kind of had Asuka's number. I'm just worried that they want to put that belt on. I'll go back to what Triple H said, that the finish to the match at In Your House will make sense. He said 3 or 4 months from now, it might be closer to 8 or 9. But if Charlotte walks into Mania to take on Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's title and Rhea beats her there, that might be a story they want to tell more so than Asuka finally getting that win over Charlotte. I'd much rather see Asuka get the win over Charlotte, because you can always wait and tell that story with Rhea and Charlotte a year from now. You can wait on that one. I feel like Asuka, especially over the last couple months where they haven't done really anything with her, Asuka really needs to get that win over Charlotte to really cement her status within WWE. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's kind of my feeling on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling that what you're saying is probably right. They probably would rather have Rhea versus Charlotte be the thing. But, I mean, I don't know. Asuka, you and I were always... I sometimes I feel like my concern for Asuka is always overstated, because like she had a pretty goddamn good run in WWE. So
this year has been amazing.
It's been amazing, and yeah, we want to see her get her reward, which should be a win over Charlotte. But at the same time, she's had it pretty darn good.
She's had a good
year. If she ends up having to take another loss to Charlotte, I mean, it sucks if they're just setting up something else. But Asuka will be just fine. She'll be fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine. Nick asks, if Bianca Belair doesn't win the Rumble, who can you see winning it? Pick one from each brand. Will Rhea Ripley on Raw?
I think
it'd be pretty cool if Sonya Deville came back SmackDown and won the Rumble.
I think it's gonna be Bayley. I think that Sasha and her, they're doing this thing where they're making Sasha into like a huge deal. A Mania match between those two would be just off the charts. It wouldn't shock me if I don't know if it'd shock me or not if these wrestlers, man, they're itching to get back into it. Wouldn't shock me if Becky Lynch won the Rumble. I mean, I don't even know if medically it'd be possible, but it wouldn't shock me because what, at the end of January, is that that's the Rumble, right?
Yeah.
If she gives birth, in the next couple weeks, I could see her kicking her ass to get back into. I mean,
who knows?
It wouldn't shock me because wrestlers, they're crazy, man. They're crazy. They just want to get back into it.
No, that's true.
So that wouldn't shock. If she's an option, she's totally winning it. If she's an option, but if not, I could see it being Bayley for sure. I could totally see it being Bayley.
Anthony Tobias. Now that Seth is taking time off, how do you feel his heel run? How do you feel about his heel run for the past year went?
I think if it wasn't for
there's a lot of bad luck. There's a lot of bad luck. AOP, Razor getting hurt.
Yeah.
Ray getting hurt.
The actual character of Seth Rollins as a heel in this iteration, I really like. I really like the whole, Monday Night Messiah guy, the religious.
He essentially took his Twitter persona, and kind of turned it up to 11. And so I say, I'm the leader of Monday Night Raw. This is my show. At first, like on Twitter, he was like ultimate WWE cheerleader. You take that to the extreme, and you kind of get what Seth had become.
Well, yeah, he's taken the cult of WWE and forming, his what was the name of that dude? Jim Jones. Jim Jones, yeah. So no, I like it, but yeah, I agree. I think that like it did run into a lot of bad luck. You had the whole, Ray getting injured, so I think that feud is probably just extended way too much.
Yeah. Adam, is Undertaker truly done, or could you see him in an authority-style TV role? Nah.
At this point, nothing would shock me. I think that I don't know. Nothing would shock me, but because here's the thing about him. He just sort of does whatever. Like, if Vince wants him to do that, I'll put it this way. If Vince wanted it, he'd do it. He'd definitely do it if Vince wanted him to do it. He's not going to say no. Like, some guys will say no to Vince. Undertaker doesn't say no to Vince. So if Vince wanted it, he'd do it.
Potentially. Yeah, maybe. NJWP, book a Raw versus SmackDown War Games match. Well, give me Keith Lee, give me Braun, give me AJ.
Wow, it's just Team Raw.
Well, those three, and then Jeff Hardy, because they could do something crazy off the top of the cage.
So that's why I wouldn't put him in there.
And then Team SmackDown. You want Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan.
Oh, scary.
Lars Sullivan. Mm-hmm. They need someone with some size in there to take on Keith Lee and Braun.
Oh yeah, Otis.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
Team Raw's winning that one again. Lord Ziffer, who should challenge and beat the current mid-card champ? So who should beat Bob Lashley? Mustafa Ali is the correct answer.
Nah, man. Not with Retribution the way it is right now.
Hey, man, he's won 2 matches in a row.
I know, but like for me to believe that, you got to make Retribution into a real thing. Who should beat Bob Lashley? Is Ricochet still on Raw?
Mm-hmm.
Tucker. Senor Tucky.
Daniel Bryan should beat Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title.
So the Intercontinental Championship. I'm gonna say Otis. Oh yeah. Why not? He's got Gable with him now, and then have Gable swerve him and have Gable take it off him.
Yeah, of course Gable's gonna swerve him. This is all what it's leading to is Gable swerving him.
Well, yeah. So why not put the Intercontinental? You don't want to see Gable get the Intercontinental Championship? That'd be great.
I wouldn't mind that at all. However, I'd skip the step with Otis winning it. Mr. Biff Top Johnny, what has been your favorite entrance attire of 2020 so far? Biff Top Johnny says it's Seth Rollins SummerSlam and the New Day Survivor Series. Yeah, Seth SummerSlam stuff is pretty cool.
Hard to beat the
Gears of War stuff.
Gears of War stuff
was insane.
It's hard to beat that. Bianca on a week-to-week basis is just bringing just amazing stuff. And then everything that Sasha wears when she cuts promos looks great.
Mm-hmm. Jake.
Bronze garden gloves.
There you go. What kind of weird $1,000 Undertaker cameo do you want to see next? And how weird is it that WWE is letting the Dead Man film cameos backstage at the Thunderdome when other wrestlers can't be a part of these third-party websites?
What was the name?
That is kind of really rubbing the wrestler's nose in doo-doo when Undertaker's back there, probably by catering, shooting all these cameos, and everyone else there is like, oh, I can't do this. This is all money I can't be making.
Yeah, they can, or they just buy in. Just buy into it, man. Just opt in. You'll be fine. You'll be good. Let me check. Let me see who else has. Maybe it's spurred a wave of WWE wrestlers to do that. There was one of them was he said All Elite, and it was it was like
All Elite Scooby-Doo.
All Elite Scooby-Doo. That's what I'm going to refer to you as now. All Elite Scooby-Doo. Oh, that's terrific. Let's see here. WWE. Oh, how much is Steve Harvey's $450?
While you look into that, I'll ask Dalton's question here. Would you rather see Big E take the Universal title off Roman at Mania, or Keith Lee take the WWE title off Drew?
Keith Lee.
So do you want? Yeah.
Yeah.
Big E. That's my answer. Sean Lathrop, who did it better, AEW's 30 years of Jericho or WWE's 30 years of Undertaker?
Oh, that's unfair. That's not fair, man. That's not fair. Of course it's Undertaker. Get out of here with that. They couldn't. AEW
the actual
couldn't.
ceremony. The actual ceremony they're talking about.
Yeah. What was Jericho's? It wasn't.
He had a bunch of cameos from his friends. Remember that? And MJF came out and with the clown and all that.
Oh,
and
clearly
took the clown's head off with the Judas effect.
No, that was a clown show, man. Undertaker had a friggin' hologram of Paul Bearer. Get out of here. That wasn't, wasn't even close.
The top for you.
I didn't. Nobody was on Twitter tearing up over Jericho's 30 years of Jericho.
The thing from under the ring, how different would WWE be if Brett agreed to drop to Shawn and the Montreal Screwjob didn't happen? Such as would we've gotten the Mr. McMahon character?
Man, what a great question. What a great question. I don't. I'll put it this. I kind of feel like McMahon would have cracked that anyways, because in some ways it was kind of obvious.
Well, he and Stone Cold had already had some altercations by that point. And,
yeah.
You know, I guess even they still could have done something along those lines coming out of the end of Mania 14 with Mike Tyson being involved and all that. You know, I just think the screw job just added so much legitimacy to the idea that Vince was, you know, like the living embodiment of the asshole boss.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Because we saw that manifested in a very real way at Survivor Series 97.
I'm trying to remember. I'd have to go back, and I'm kind of curious about that now. So I remember the first appearance of McMahon after that was obviously that sit-down interview with JR.
I remember that so well. Yeah.
But he wasn't in full. And I'm trying to remember what came after that sit-down interview when there was the Tyson thing when, he was like, you ruined it. But him doing that with the you ruined it stuff. I mean, I don't know if he would have had the thought to become like the boss figure. I mean, was he openly acknowledged as the boss, as like the CEO prior to the Montreal Screwjob? Because I know for a spell he was just like the commentator, and they would make like little veiled references.
I don't remember the exact timing of it, but it was all kind of around then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that.
Justin asks, "What's the over/under on Keith Lee winning the Rumble to challenge either champion?"
I mean, you got. I'll believe Big E when I see it. If they start pushing him this Friday, then I'll believe that it's a possibility. But they have him doing a whole lot of nothing. Keith Lee is a great answer.
Mm-hmm.
Sheamus is a possibility for Drew. Sheamus is totally a possibility for Drew. I'm not sure I want to see it
between now and then. Yeah.
I mean, who
Depends
else
how well
for
they book the story?
who else for Mania then? Because I mean, they've been doing these backstage segments, which have been really legit. I think, dude, I think it's totally. Drew ain't gonna main event. He's not gonna main event. It's gonna be Roman.
Especially if it's Roman Rock, especially Roman Rock main events. Yeah.
If it's Rock, it's obviously 100% that.
Yeah.
If it's not, I mean, I don't know if they really do think they're going to get Becky. I mean, we talked about this before, how there's a couple options that they seem to be on the table. Mm-hmm. But I think it's sort of furthest away is Drew McIntyre main eventing. And if that's the case, I think they could tell a really effective story. And I'm not like, I know at one time when he was the Lobster Head song, I was a Sheamus guy. I haven't really been a Sheamus guy. I have been appreciating him more lately, especially with this Team Raw stuff and the Big E stuff. I've been appreciating him more. But with the backstage stuff with Drew, if they can make it personal, dude, I'd be all about that. If they can tell a really good story.
The potential's there.
I just don't know who else for Drew. I mean, it's like Keith Lee's a good answer.
Yeah.
I just don't know else, for him.
Randy Orton again, Mr. Dope. That's a good question here. Who's booked stronger? The Big Dog or the Tribal Chief? In terms of in-ring, for the most part,
the Big Dog.
Big Dog, because he never had a cheat to win.
Yep. Yep.
Waymaker. WWE has some really colorful managers, has had some really colorful managers over the years, but they are a bit thin on the ground these days. Who would you see transitioning to a manager's role once they are done in the ring? The Miz. Have Miz be a manager.
That'd be good. I could see that. It'd be weird, but I could see that.
Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Sami Zayn could be a great one. Forever Young, since they were part of the final three and had a one-on-one off from the dual brand battle royal, do you think we can get a Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio out of Chad Gable and Dominic Mysterio?
Oh, that'd be cool.
They had that was a great sequence.
That was really good.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see.
Gareth with the Thanksgiving question. What's the Thanksgiving meal Survivor Series? Each of you pick a team. Give us one main dish, team captains, and their side dish teammates. We'll draft this.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't really have something to flip. I got a pick here, but there's no real heads or tails. Used to have a coin. I won last night predictions. You get first pick, Steve. What do you got? You got turkey, don't you?
Well, yeah, of course I'm going to get turkey. He's the Roman Reigns of Thanksgiving meal.
Okay. I'm going to take turducken.
Okay. Wait, doesn't that just mean you only get duckin'? Because I've already taken the tur part.
No, you get a turkey just by itself. I get a chicken stuffed and a duck stuffed in a turkey.
Fair enough. I've never actually had turducken before.
Neither have I. What's your first side?
My first side, I gotta go. I'm going stuffing.
All right, good choice.
I mean, I know stuffing comes in the turkey sometimes, but I like it on the side.
I'll go with mashed potatoes.
Oh, quality.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, man. I'm going for like what's book strong. So at this point now, for my next side, I'm gonna go with what Steve wants and what I'm probably gonna eat most of: mac and cheese.
Oh man!
Although nobody even brings that to my Thanksgiving meals.
That's not a traditional Thanksgiving dish. That's why I'm going with the candied yams next.
Oh, that's a waste. I'm gonna go with this. Actually, my mom does bring to Thanksgiving, and it might not sound spectacular, but holy crap, it's amazing. Her scalloped potatoes are so damn good.
All right. I'm going to go with, you got mashed potatoes. You need gravy. Give me the gravy.
Well, great. No, you get that with the mashed potatoes. Don't put gravy on there. Right, nobody eats gravy on its own. That's fine. Yeah, go ahead and take another pick.
I'll go with the green bean casserole.
Yes, I hate that shit. Give me rolls. Give me some nice soft rolls with butter. Turkey stuffing mac and mine is all carbs. Mac and cheese.
I mean, that's what Thanksgiving is, apart from your protein. It's just all carbs.
Yeah. Oh man, wait. You know what? No, get rolls out of there. Give me pumpkin pie.
Well, desserts is okay. Fine. I'll go apple pie then.
There you go. All right. Anyways, let's see here. You know what? Twitch chat, we're going to stick around. We're running low on time. Twitch chat, we'll stick around and answer some more questions. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Is that a shoot? Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.